Good evening, everyone, as we welcome you to Al Erdesy Stadium at Northampton Area High School, the site for an EPC boys lacrosse semifinals. Easton and Nazareth coming up in the nightcap. But first, it's the third-seeded Parkland Trojans and the two-seed in the Allentown Central Catholic Vikings. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Northampton High School. Gwen Begley and Mike Ventolo with you here tonight. Deja vu. We just had this matchup live here on SEN 8 days ago. Another one-goal matchup. Could we expect the same shootout here tonight, Mike?
I would think we will. These are two teams that are evenly matched in all three phases, offense, defense, and even goalkeeper, and certainly redemption on the forefront of the mind of the Parkland Trojans that want to certainly make up for that loss against Central 8 days ago. Yeah,
the Vikings have won 3 out of their last 5 meetings against the Trojans. Let's first talk about Parkland a little bit. They are the 3 seed coming in here tonight, 14-4 overall. They've won 7 of their last 10 meetings against this Vikings team. They won 4 of their last 5 into playoffs. Head coach Corey Andrews, he's in his first season. He's been with this program since 2012. He's comfortable with these guys. Guys like Blake Finnegan, the senior midfielder.
Yeah, Blake's done really well all season long for Parkland. He had 3 goals against the Vikings in that last matchup, so keep an eye on him here tonight. He's earned a point in each game this season, so he expects to be a factor. Attending Kane University in the future, certainly a guy that Central has them on their scouting report.
Yeah, one of just 2 guys to score 3 goals against Central last week. Now the Central Catholic Vikings are the 2 seed coming in 15-3 overall. Now they had a 14-game win streak snapped on Monday against Hempfield. That was their first loss since March 22nd. Will Odenthal's in his 3rd year. He's been with the program since 2018, and man, do they have a player in Jack Restino.
I mean, when you look at one of the top players in boys lacrosse here in the Lehigh Valley, you got to look at Jack Restino. This kid can do it all. He's got great speed. He has a great vision for the net. And certainly with him, one of the leading goal scorers for this group, you could see why, as he is a constant scorer in each and every game played this year.
Well, 8 days ago, it was Central Catholic coming out on top 14-13. The year before, it was 12-11 Parkland. Will it go back to the Trojans this time around? Stay tuned to find out here on the Service Electric Network. We welcome you back to Northampton, the site of an EPC boys lacrosse semifinal doubleheader here at Al Erdesy Stadium. Gwen Begley and Mike Ventolo with you for what we really hope and expect to be a really close, great matchup between these two teams. As I mentioned in the opening, they met just 8 days ago, and this one went down to the wire. It was just a 1-goal game, but Allentown Central Catholic had an advantage for most of it. Now Parkland is going to want to get that one back. So let's take a look at our starting lineups that we have for this evening's contest here in the semifinals between the 2 and the 3 seeds. Now, some illnesses have raked their way through both of these lineups. But we take a look on the left side. We've got Colton Arezzi and Parker Cusco, of course, on attack. John Garancher on attack as well. Max Esteban will be right there at the dot at the face-off X. He reached 500 career face-off wins the last time these two teams played a week ago. There at our midfield, we got Lincoln Brayford, Arjun Williams, Christian Magloire, and Drew Schaefer. He's going to be taking care of Jack Restino tonight, or trying to at least. Colin Winfield, and of course, in between the pipes, Andrew Matalevichis. He did fantastic last week and will look to stop these Vikings. Karetsos, McCarthy, and Liam Farrell will be on attack for the Vikings. In the midfield, we got Jack Restino. We talked about him. Tate Shoemaker. He led the team in goals against Hempfield earlier this week. Michael Restino, Carter Young, Connor Lawler, and Jose Santiago there on defense. And Chris Burke in between the pipes. He made 16 saves against the Vikings last week. Mike, you got to think, obviously, it all starts at the face-off X, and we saw Max Esteban and Luke Seiler for Allentown Central Catholic battling it out last week. Now, Esteban, he did win most of the face-offs in that one, but towards the end of the game, Mike, Luke Seiler really came out and started winning. And that's how they started getting the lead, and that's how they won the game.
Yeah, you know, and you got to give, and how about this for Luke being a sophomore, right? Just as a sophomore, getting a chance to go toe-to-toe with a senior, and he'll get that chance here once again tonight. But, I mean, you will hear coaches talk about you have to be able to win the face-off to really help set the tone offensively. The only team that defies that are the Easton Red Rovers, who we'll get a chance to talk about a little bit in game number 2. But as we look here at our goalkeepers, there's Andrew Matalevichis, who has been tremendous all season. You saw Chris Burke a few moments ago. Both players have been key factors of both of their team's successes this year, essentially, especially Metalevicius, who has been tremendous throughout his career. A 4-year starter, will be attending Ursinus in the fall. But as you mentioned, with the face-off here with, of course, these two guys here, I would expect things to really start with some fireworks here out of the gate.
As it should. Max Esteban has been starting all season long, and he's been so impressive for this team. You'll get to see the battle going on tonight. So they'll have a face-off violation right away. So that'll give Max Esteban the win, and Parkland their first possession of this EPC semifinal. These two teams haven't met in a semifinal for the league since 2016. The last time they met in the EPC playoffs was in 2019, and that was in a championship setting. So this one will go back to Allentown Central Catholic. Turnover there on possession. Jack Restino with it now. James McCarthy, you'll see him buzzing around X. His speed has given him a lot of outlets to find his teammates. He is their assist man, coming in with 64 on the season so far.
I mean, right now you kind of see them spread out very nicely. Number 15, Liam Farrell's been kind of floating around in the middle, trying to see if they can cut in here, and we're seeing that out of Restino.
Great defense already right there. We said Drew Schaefer was going to be tasked with Restino, and right there he was able to keep him away from the net. That was just a classic lane for Restino to take, and Schaefer able to cut that off nicely. Now Metalevicius getting hounded. Dangerous ground ball here for Parkland. They need to pick that up.
We certainly do, and you know, for the Trojans here now, trying to answer in transition. Got a lane.
Flag push from behind. That will be on Allentown Central Catholic, number 25. Connor Lawler will get called. The sophomore will take a knee, and an early man-up opportunity for the Trojans.
I mean, you look at, there was a golden opportunity there for Matt Kelly, but it really was that push from behind that was able to slow down Parker Cusco, on the previous play. And, you know, for Central, as much as they have to keep an eye on so many different guys, Parker Cusco is certainly at the top of that list offensively, who's been tremendous here throughout the campaign.
Yeah, once Cusco gets hot, wide open, Chris Burke there for the save. Yeah, once Cusco gets going, he is pretty hard to stop. Now, they did a pretty good job at keeping him at bay last time out. Another big save on the other end. Andrew Metalevicius, both goalies standing on their heads early in this one. That's what we want to see. Now, in transition, the Trojans will try to settle down if they could get some help.
You know, the goalkeepers, I mean, even though it was a victory for Central, it was a 14-13 final. It's still a lot of goals given up. That's against what their averages have been throughout the year. So for Burke and Metalevicius, certainly trying to keep those numbers down significantly. As you mentioned, standing on their head here right now, but also to give credit to both of these defense here for the first handful of minutes and doing a tremendous job.
Yeah, loving the defense right now. Both goalies have earned these positions. They're both seniors. Right on the wing, a scoop shot, and that one will go through. The Parkland Trojans are on the board. That was John Garancher, the junior attack, getting Parkland the 1-0 lead.
You know, for Garancher there, he was in a great position. As you see, he gets the pass, able to cut through, and his only shot was to go low, and I'm not sure if Burke really had the best eye on that. As you take a look at it here again, just a great job going from left shoulder on that shot attempt, and a great effort there for Garancher, his 38th goal of the season, and Parkland's up 1-0.
That goal has to feel really good for Garancher, and if you watched our broadcast last week, you'll know he struggled just a little bit with, it was him versus the post, the pipes, so we heard that ringing sound quite a bit when he was shooting, and I'm sure that felt good to finally get that one to go through. Colton Arezzi getting hounded a bit by the defense. Carter Young tasked with the extremely elusive freshman that has really come onto the scene for the Trojans this year. He's been buzzing, speaking about buzzing around X, he reminds me of a younger James McCarthy in that aspect with his speed just working around the crease.
We'd seen him earlier in the year against the Eastern Red Rovers. I mean, Colton Arezzi was a big factor in that loss. I mean, he kind of stood out amongst the group there for the Trojans in that early season defeat to the Eastern Red Rovers. So we expect more out of Arezzi here as the game goes on. And wow, what a save there by Burke.
Finnegan wanting a piece of the pie to go 2 up, denied by Burke. As we mentioned, 16 saves against Central a week ago. McCarthy drops off, and there they go. Number 15, Liam Farrell, evening this one up at 1 apiece.
You see McCarthy, who normally likes to shoot and score, decides I'm going to get an assist. He's able to look back perfectly. A great lane here for Liam Farrell, the junior attack. And he's pumped up ever so because now with his team tied, maybe trying to garner some momentum here in this early portion of the first quarter.
Farrell with his 23rd goal of the season. He scored a couple times against this Trojans team last week. This faceoff going all the way to the back, and James McCarthy tried to go from behind. He was denied. An opportunity now for the Trojans off that ricochet save from Matalevichis.
Drew Schaefer's so worried about defending McCarthy. I think when he had the ball there for a few moments, he's like, I'm supposed to be defending, not be on offense here.
He's been known to score a time or two. He's definitely capable of it. We love a long pole goal.
And the thing about it here now for Parkland, as it looks like for Coach Andrews, he was able to make some quick substitutions. And now Central's a little bunched up there.
You try and work through the top side, nothing going. Work around the defense for Parker Cusco, denied by Chris Burke. Now, last year's matchup with the Trojans, Chris had let kind of a garbage goal situation go in. It's one that he really wanted back. I know the team wanted that one back, and resulted in tying the game and eventually forcing overtime, to which Parkland won off of the faceoff from Max Esteban.
You know, as we get a chance here to look at the shot attempt by Cusco, and as you see Burke with the save, and looks like I think went a timeout here by at Central Catholic, and I could see why Coach O may be wanting to talk things over here, at least with Central Catholic getting back on offense. But, you know, to go along with your point, I think for Max Esteban, who I've been impressed. I mean, just because of what he's able to do. And I'm sure certainly for him, he will continue to be a factor as the game goes along. But now, as we'll see the Trojans, looks like there's some heavy talking going on that sideline. I'm not sure if it's defensively or what, but it looks like they're trying to maybe shake things up here a little bit.
Yeah, maybe wait for some more quality shots and quantity shots. Wait for a little bit of a bigger opening. Chris Burke seems to be seeing the ball pretty well, at least from point blank. So you got to work off a little bit of screen situations to try and get a better view of the goal. Now, this is exactly how we expected this to start so far, Mike. I think 1-1 midway through the first quarter here. I would not expect it to stay low scoring, as we saw the difference of the scores from the last couple of years. I mentioned, last time out it was 14-13. So these guys know how to pack it on. But usually it's a little slow start for both of these guys. Now, last time Parkland scored 4 goals in the first quarter as compared to Central Catholic's 2. So it took a little bit for Central to warm up last time out. It seems they're both kind of in that position right now, but also highlighted by some really good defense on both sides.
No, very much so. And now we'll see with the timeout resuming how both teams will come out of this timeout with Central here on offense.
Michael Restino thought better of it, pushes it out to the wing. Farrell feeds inside, quick turn and shoot. That one denied by Matalevichis. It's like that was Dylan Court with the opportunity.
Able to get rid of it here to Lincoln Brayford.
Great ride by the Vikings. Looks like they aren't going to give Parkland any breathing room tonight, Mike.
No, I feel like for Central here right now, they are not afraid to, looks like they're, in kind of layman's terms here, really just manning up here. I mean, I think they're going to also not show any fear as well. I think that's why you're kind of seeing Parkland now having to really be a little bit more spread out, just trying to find lanes where they could. And I mean, outside of the one goal given up by Burke, Burke's made some real nice saves. So it's kind of going to have to really be some creative offense here from the Trojans. You know, they tried the 10-man ride last game, but didn't work. So we'll see how it goes.
Yeah, they say, do you want to do anything differently? Well, we're not going to 10-man ride because we gave up a goal on that, but they get one here right up front. Parker Cusco right at the doorstep. That one dangerously close to the crease, but he gets it to go. Great awareness from the senior.
Yeah, Parker Cusco, you see here again, I mean, gets through 3 defenders, able to get the shot off, and I actually think for Burke, I'm not sure if he fully saw that Carter Young there on the defense, though tried to make the stop, and that ball just able to sneak past Burke, and Cusco get goal number 2 here for Parkland.
Yeah, that's tough when you can make the save and you still have to deal with the fact that the ball's still loose. Big face-off win for the Vikings. Seiler coming away with it, but quickly turned right back over. Who will end up with it? McCarthy's bobbling it. He comes away with it. There's some space, and they quickly take advantage. What a shot from Liam Farrell, his 2nd of the game.
And a quick answer as well, too, and that's exactly what you needed if you were the Central Catholic Vikings here. I mean, take a look at this. You see McCarthy able to go swift pass to Farrell, and Farrell kind of with that underhand type shot. It was almost like almost like a field hockey type shot and goal there.
Great
it was
shovel shot.
Really impressive shooting there by Farrell with his 2nd goal of the game. And you know, I really like when Central, they're able to do a nice job of getting good passing here, and getting those really opportunistic type shots, and it's worked well for them. And now we see Parkland here with another face-off victory.
Yeah, that was a great play by Liam Farrell. His awareness to see James McCarthy battling for the GB. He gets it, quickly outlets it to Farrell, and quickly took advantage of the opportunity. There wasn't much time to make that shot, Mike, so he got that one through just in time. So the Trojans here with an opportunity to tie it up once again, to take the lead, rather. It's tied here at 2 apiece. Arezzi working off his defender, he can't.
Great pass.
But a great feed at the top of the crease to Mason Afif.
It's back and forth here right now. One goal, one team scores, another team comes in with a goal. And how about Arezzi? I think, to me, this was all Arezzi. Watch him as Carter Young just fiercely clogging up any sort of chance to shoot his own goal. But Arezzi just gets enough space right here. Has to make the quick pass attempt and able to deposit right into the bank there. Was Mazen Afif, the senior, with his 5th of the year.
Yeah, how about that? I mean, finding other guys to score. It's not the usual suspects with these Trojans. We're going to get some other guys finding ways to break through tonight. So Mason Afif gets his just 5th goal of the season. You can see how excited his teammates were for him. But here's another opportunity for Central off the face-off. Already a shootout, Mike. That's what we want to see. That's what we like to see. McCarthy nearly losing it. He's got nothing topside just yet. Farrell working the body. The net a little bit misplaced, so they will get that fixed up.
What I'm liking out of both teams here right now, Gwen, is that when one team scores, another team's answering. Nobody is panicking. Oh, my goodness, someone scored.
It's an immediate answer off the face-off.
It really is, and I think that's just a credit to the psyche of both of these programs. And, I mean, not to sound like dumb broadcaster 101, but it's setting things up to where maybe it's going to come down to that final possession in the 4th quarter, the way this game is starting here in the 1st.
It did the last 2 meetings, so I would not expect anything else out of this matchup. Patience at X, feed up front, that one denied. That bounced a little bit, but Central able to get back possession. Quinn Driscoll at the top. There's Tommy McGorry. He's been a great asset for this team this season. Unfortunately, loses a little bit of control, but how about that defense from the Trojans? They've had moments of being really good, and you know, Central Catholic coming in, they wanted to keep an eye on turnovers. They felt like even in that victory over Parkland, they still felt like they had to clean things up. So, though they've been pretty good overall here in the 1st quarter, but they don't want to let that become a habit.
as Parkland now looks to follow routine here. And
yeah, I think that was Ethan Leaks coming away with the turnover there, the long stick midi, giving his team a chance and taking one away from the Vikings. I mean, that's half the battle. I know that they came into this game wanting to limit the turnovers. We saw a ton of caused turnovers last time out against these two. Blake Finnegan with a shot. It hits the post. And it goes to the Vikings. Good job on Tate Shoemaker making that extra effort to the end line.
Yeah, great extra effort, but I think Parkland is tired of seeing their shots hit off posts. But, you know, obviously sometimes things continue, so.
How about that midfield defense there to try and stop Central from getting into their attacking box? You got Farrell at X. Trojans with a 3-2 lead in the final couple minutes of this first quarter. Restino.
Great defense there by Schaefer. And you you brought it up. I mean, Schaefer's got to keep an eye on him. But even if you're going to get beat, see, this is what happens if you're someone young watching lacrosse here. Attack the stick. It works.
Yeah, there's so many times where Jack Restino has just been allowed to get a lengthy windup to see the space, like right here, but Matalevich is able to see pretty clearly on that shot. But that's what you got to start doing. You got to start looking at the butt of the stick, try and stick check a little bit, and great job by Drew Schaefer. He has done really, really well at guarding Jack Restino tonight. Restino reaching the 100-goal milestone last week. He had 5 against the Trojans. He made all the difference for the Vikings. He's really come into his own this year. I mean, he was at Emmaus prior, decided to come to Central to play with his brother, Michael Restino. He's a senior and Jack is a junior, but Jack already committed to play Division I lacrosse at Stony Brook University. Great storied men's lacrosse program there at Stony Brook.
Yeah, for not too bad to want to go continue your college education over in New York there. And Stony Brook, as you mentioned, they have been a remarkable program for quite a number of years. So
some Parkland players going to play at the next level as well. Parker Cusco, most notably going to Muhlenberg to join his brother Chase Cusco. So they will be reunited once more next season. Quick passes, trying to look through the lane, and Chris Burke was all over it. He is denied. That was Danny Tapia with the opportunity.
Danny Tapia, we'll talk more about him, obviously, with what his plans to be in the future as we see McCarthy now.
Another stick check from behind, but got to keep your head on a swivel. This one snakes its way through. McCarthy was the first to celebrate, but we'll have a little discussion on the field for this one. You see Driscoll there, and they'll get it.
And also, too, was the clock strike 0. I'm not sure if that had some.
Wow.
Number 19.
Quinn Driscoll with the tip-in.
That goal is because of number 6.
What a heads-up play by Quinn Driscoll to be able to see that bouncing around. All right, well, that sends us into the end of the first quarter, tied up at 3 apiece. Don't go anywhere. This is a good one, folks, here on the Service Electric Network. You're taking a look at the head coach for the Allentown Central Catholic Vikings, Will Odenthal, a Johns Hopkins grad, winning a NCAA championship in 1984. You can see he's sporting his Johns Hopkins hat. As always, you will never see him without it at one of these games, but he's done such a great job since taking over this program in 2022 after the late, great Dan Dolphin retired.
You know, Coach O has been remarkable in 3 seasons. I mean, this is a team that is always in the postseason hunt. They're always a team that's vying for league championships and even district championships. And
Even district championships, 7.
Which is, it's just crazy how
Just
many.
a casual 7.
Just a casual 7. I mean, they are remarkable and obviously a great representative out of District 11 2A, and certainly do their part once they hit the state championships or state tournament as well. So, but I tell you, after the first quarter here, Gwen, it's almost like, I'm sure for both Coach O and Coach Andrews, it's all right, how can we break this back and forth here? One team's going to try to figure out a way to get on a run, at least try to get some separation, and I don't know if that's just going to happen the way these two teams are just so evenly matched.
Yeah, Luke Seiler had a really great face-off, clean face-off win off the bat, and boom, here we go. Central Catholic takes the lead. Alex Koretsos, the freshman, getting in on the action.
How about this? And here's the thing. Look how far back he is. He's near the 25. He gets the pass from McCarthy, and that was like a zip line right into the goal. Tremendous shooting there by Koretsos, the freshman, who, I mean, with already 36 goals on the season, it's one of those you can't wait to hit the fast forward button and see what it's going to be like as a senior with how great he's been as a first year here with ACC.
Yeah, they do such a good job at developing these players from youth to the point that they get here. I mean, Michael Restino is a good example of that. Oh my goodness! Nate Young. Speaking of freshmen, off of the face-off win, the ground ball at the midfield, the long pole gets a goal.
You know, it's funny, you mentioned about the long pole gets a goal. They don't get a whole lot, you know, at least consistently, and he's getting pressure from behind him, and he's still able to get the shot off, and look at his teammates. I mean, why not?
Incredible.
This is his second goal of the season, and what we talk about, right? Which team is going to find a way to start getting some separation? Well, it's Central Catholic right now, so now if you're Parkland, you got to start here. Max Esteban, can he win himself a face-off? And nope, it's going to go for Central Catholic here again, Gwen.
Yeah, Central's stacking up these face-off wins, and it's making the difference for the Vikings. But man, Nate Young, what a shot from the freshman long stick midi. So back-to-back goals from the Vikings youth. That was a great feed, however. Matalevich just saw that one pretty clearly despite a screen. Here's Drew Schaefer with it now, trying to break through. Maybe he wants a pole goal for himself, Mike.
I was about to say, if
but
Central,
stop short.
And I think we have looks like a timeout. I think Corey Andrews may be calling a timeout
Yes.
here, Gwen. And I like this for Coach Andrews. You know, look, no reason to panic if, you know, especially for those at home who are rooting for the Parkland Trojans. Gwen will tell you, we'll tell you, being down 2 goals in lacrosse, it's nothing. Nothing. So
Not even 5 is anything.
Correct. I mean, we saw it with Parkland and Easton, I mean, earlier in the season. But anyways, for the Trojans here, this is Coach Andrews just kind of recollecting his team. Obviously, Central Catholic's in a nice 3-0 goal run here right now. But it's also given him and his coaches a chance to set something up offensively, kind of regain some of that early momentum they had when they scored that first goal of the game. There's a lot of talent here. Find ways to create opportunities for Parker Kusko. Of course, Colton Arezzi has, to me, the freshman. I feel like he needs to find a way to be utilized even more, but I think Central's done a nice job of ISOing him up very nicely. So we'll see if Kusko can get some separation. Obviously, with you know, with the rest of the attack there, John Grancher's already with a goal. Maybe he can try to get back in the mix, but I would try to find a way to create more openings for Colton Arezzi, because the freshman just could find a way to get it done.
Yeah, he's one of those players that was hard to figure out for teams, I think, earlier in the season, and a lot of them have figured out how to kind of guard him and stop him from scoring, but that has not stopped him from feeding. So he's been able to rack up his assists while they're also trying to keep him contained at X. But again, just like James McCarthy, I mean, he is their assist man. Those guys at X, I mean, that's their job to find the feeds. It's their job to figure out which teammates have the best opportunity to score.
And speaking of Garancher, well, there was a look for him. And look, sometimes, you know, with the way screening is being set up here, that sometimes you're going to have to get that off-kilter type shot. And you know, Parkland's been able to do that here so far.
Great slide to stop Arezzi and cause the turnover. Hounded, though, towards the sideline. The ref getting a piece of it.
Wow.
So yeah, that's interesting.
Wow. I mean, I thought there was a lot of contact there. I mean, you come in here. I mean, actually, you know what?
Came out and went out. And
Cusco did a nice job there with his.
Yeah, that was great.
It was clean.
So Parkland settling in a little bit. They have time. There's no need to rush this type of opportunity. Held on to it for a bit too long. So Central Catholic will get the turnover, and here now they have an opportunity. Wide open. Gets it to go. That is Carezzo's, his second goal of the quarter. The freshman taking an opportunity of the 1v1.
You know, Carezzo's with his second goal as mentioned, but I mean, you see, he gets the pass up and he's left wide open. And as much as Drew Schaefer's been keeping an eye on Restino, now for Carezzo's, who's been getting a lot of openings there, Christian Magliore kind of left him there on an island, and that's something where, too, and Magliore has done he's a really good defender, so he just got caught off guard. He's got to make that adjustment, but you can't allow a guy like Carezzo's to be left open. And right now the momentum's here with Central Catholic. They are absolutely playing with a lot more physicality and with a little bit more emotion. Now we see another penalty flag coming in. And
this one will be over something discussed on the sideline here.
Now, the only thing is there, I thought maybe for McCarthy was that a little, I think we're saying with the stick. I think that's why Coach O's not happy about
check.
I think the stick check. No, he's staying on the
Coach
field.
O's not thrilled about that, but Central Catholic will go down a man. So Parkland will go the man up. It looks like
number 22, Michael Restino.
Michael Restino will be taking a knee, but they still are trying to have a conversation there inside the box. Going back to that goal a little bit, Carezzo's, he made me a little nervous there. I thought he was going to be waiting too long. He made it 1 second too long for my liking on scoring that goal, but you could tell he was watching the defense come at him, and he was trying to time that up perfectly. And it obviously worked out because I think he also tricked Metalevicius. I think the timing was off for Andrew as well to make that save.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think it was certainly a timing issue. Metalevicius, who doesn't make a whole lot of mistakes, but look, it happens from time to time. But like I said, I'm not trying to pick on Christian Magliore, but I think for him that was just where he was not positioned where he needed to be, which allowed Carezzo's to get that opening. But like you said, timing-wise, he had enough time. I thought he was going to be getting handed one of Northampton's favorite hot dogs at this point, from the concession stand. But right now, the officials are talking. I think they're just trying to clear up everything with the penalty because Coach O was you could tell, very outspoken that he didn't think that.
Yeah, because there's now two players. It's McCarthy and Restino taking a knee. So Parkland's going to be 2 men up.
My thing is, I actually thought Restino was the more so just because of where he was at.
More of the offender on that.
And I think that's where I think Coach O is realizing, like, okay, I get by one, but you're telling me 2 of my guys got to take a knee here. But and it's tough for him. And look, he's doing his part, defending his guys. But Central scored 4 in a row, and now being down 2 men here, and a missed shot there for Parkland. And the last thing you want to see here, Gwen, is if you're Central, it's my goodness, we can't let one penalty here allow Parkland back in this game.
Yeah, because this easily could give them a lot of momentum, right? You're down 6-3, approaching midway point of this second quarter. You want to go into the half with, I mean, obviously you want to go in the half with a lead, but if you're down by 3, you want to at least get within 1. Quick turn and shoot from Parker Cusco. That one goes wide.
Carter Young there on the defense. 2 number 8s matching up with each other. Just able to get, the little things, just getting the stick to disrupt the momentum of the shot.
Quick passes for the Trojans. Cross the passing lane, and Blake Finnegan gets it to go. He comes back within another.
Well, he keeps his streak going of getting at least a point in every game this season, right?
He had that first shot of the man-up opportunity. That one went way wide out into the distance, but a little bit more on target this time.
Yeah, just inside the 25. able to just catch and shoot, and that's all you can do. And Burke, I think Burke saw it, but that ball was just absolutely flying with some velocity. His 24th goal of the season there, Finnegan. But now the Trojans get themselves a goal, maybe trying to win back some momentum. And look at this face-off.
Yeah, this is getting physical here at the face-off X. This has been quite the battle all night long. So Esteban will get called.
Yeah, I think Nate Young with the slash there on the helmet, I believe, Gwen. So he knew right away. We'll take a look at it here. I think Nate Young, watch number 7. Boom. Yeah, right on the shoulder there. I think that's where they're going to get him.
Okay, so they just did yep. All right, so James McCarthy's still in the box for the previous penalty. So he'll get some company on the other side there. That is Ethan Leaks, actually, the junior long stick midi, who caused a great turnover there at the midfield earlier in the game.
I thought that penalty should have been on Central, but obviously on Parkland there. So
Central with 5. We're at even strength.
yeah, both teams down a man.
You got to wonder if Central's just going to wait for McCarthy to get unleashed. So Jack Christina will hold it here at the top. We'll see if Parkland takes the bait at all and tries to pressure. But it looks like McCarthy's getting ready to come on now. So they'll wait till that penalty is over, and now they're going to get into action.
No, I think that was the right move for Central. Just be patient.
McCarthy at X. Twists around, gets 1v1, but
Is that a crease
he
violation?
steps into the crease,
Yep.
and that one will head to the Trojans. Matalevich just making the save regardless, but gets some extra cushion with the crease violation. Missed opportunity for the Vikings.
Yeah, you'll see right. Yeah, it was actually right before that. He had it stepped in right before as he was turning the corner.
Trojans down by 2, hits the post. That was from Finnegan.
Right now, Blake Finnegan's is quote-unquote the hot hand here. He's the one that right now with the best vision towards the goal, and Parkland's got to continue to find a way to get him set up.
Mentioned he had 3 goals against Central Catholic last week. Wide open on the wing. That one is scored by Colton Orezi. He gets one for himself to come within 1 of the Vikings.
I feel like at times when I mention about players being impactful, usually I would hope that it would happen right away. Didn't realize it would have to take about 5 minutes later for it to happen, but good for Colton Orezi here. Able to get some space, able to really just step above the crease and fool Burke. I mean, that's not easy to do.
No, 5 holes, not an easy goal to score.
Nope. So good for Orezi.
Good clean face-off win for Esteban. He'll pass it off right back to Orezi, and he scores back-to-back goals. It's 3 straight for the Trojans.
And this is in a span of 5 seconds, essentially 7 seconds. And Parkland now has scored 3 straight to tie things up. So that 2-man down penalty kind of really allowed Parkland to get back into this. And my goodness, going top shelf there, Orezi, and just getting it behind the stick of Chris Burke.
No leads are safe with these 2 teams, or really any lacrosse teams in this area. Another huge face-off win for Esteban. See what those face-off wins can do.
Like, to me, in lacrosse, I mean, nothing's simple in lacrosse, but like winning a face-off, the percentage of you getting a goal obviously goes significantly up. But here in the Lehigh Valley, like I said, the only exception are the Easton Red Rovers. I mean, in a sense. I mean, they legitimately are. And, Coach Brad Bachman, we'll talk about it obviously a lot more in game 2, but he's had to go through some different Fogos over the years. But, I mean, what you're seeing here in this game, though, the Fogo that's coming out on top, usually that team is able to score a goal.
And they throw it away here. Yeah, these 2 teams have more traditional Fogos. Easton has not had a traditional Fogo, which means face-off, get out. So it means that is your primary, your only goal is to come to the face-offs, then you leave the field once you pass it off to your offense or your other midfielders. But for Easton, they have Donovan Ndukwe, who's also a defensive midfielder, so he stays on the field. Sometimes they'll take him off, but he's there to stay. So we'll see a little bit more of him when they take on Nazareth a little later on tonight. First, we got to decide who's headed to the EPC final to face one of those two teams. Central, they had a big lead here this afternoon and watched it get squandered by Colton Arezi with back-to-back goals. Got one way high of the crossbar. They retain possession though, so McCarthy will try and work around, get up front. Slide is there.
Nice foot
Got
save.
around it, yeah, that was a great save by Matalevicius, but a rebound gets it to go. And it's Tate Shoemaker. He had that opportunity to begin with, and he makes sure he finishes off the play.
And that's where, too,
Number 10,
you want to see the play through. See, that ball bounces up, and number 33, Drew Schaefer, a tough time fielding the ground ball. And ball's popped up there, and Schaefer, a tough time with it. Scooping up there, picking up the trash, and turning it into gold here is none other than Tate Shoemaker. Both of these teams, Gwen, they do the little things right. I mean, obviously, I know Parkland fell behind by 3 goals at one point, but even just to really take advantage of the penalty. But we haven't seen a whole lot of like mistakes here in this first half.
No, yeah, we've seen some silly turnovers, yes, but we haven't seen anybody do anything too costly. We saw a couple man-up opportunities that I think Parkland converted on one of them, but so far Central has been able to keep it at bay. I'm sure they've had a little bit more penalties than they would have liked so far in this game, so got to clean that up for sure in the second half, but we still got about 5 minutes left to go in this second quarter. Turn and shoot, loses the ball. This one bouncing out of the box. They quickly get possession back, but still not a clean possession here as McCarthy's battling. And he takes advantage of the numbers game. James McCarthy.
That might have been one of the most impressive goals we've seen here all game for McCarthy.
He's a little gassed.
Yeah, you could tell here a little bit. I mean, I could see why it took a lot out of him. Coming from the X position, getting bombarded by 3 defenders and still able to get the shot off with momentum taking him away more towards midfield. I mean, Coach O, it's funny, when I saw them earlier in the season against Northwestern Lehigh, I said, Coach, I want to talk to a couple of guys, so you got to talk to my captains, and James McCarthy's one of them, and he is so, as much as his physical play, his ability to talk about the game, he is a student of the game, and it's evident with just how he's able to move around on the field, knowing where his teammates are, and also to execute when necessary.
Yeah, he sees every part of the game. I mean, he has more assists than he does have goals. And when you're at that X position, I mean, you're just like the goalie. You have that vision of the entire offense and how it unfolds and how you want it to unfold. You're pretty much the quarterback of the team back there when you're trying to feed everybody. So McCarthy just has great vision. He sees it so well. And obviously when he scores himself, it's really nice, but it also is even nicer to have a guy that can feed his teammates like he is able to do. So we got a timeout on the field. Allentown Central Catholic is up by a couple once again. It went away for a little bit. It was 6-3 Central. 3 straight goals to start this second quarter. And then Parkland responded with 3 straight goals, 2 of those from Colton Arezi. And then Central just gets this one back now. So we do want to talk a little bit about, there's a lot of all-stars on this field, Mike. I got the all-conference team up here. We've got a few first-teamers on the field. James McCarthy, of course, we were just talking about him, and Parker Cusco, another player that is on first team for attack. Jack Restino as well, another one we'll see plenty. We'll see the EPC MVP and Kale DeSora in tonight's nightcap. Michael Restino also there in the midfield as well. Drew Schaefer and Jose Santiago.
With the 4 teams here, a lot of representation and deservedly so. I mean, obviously the Eastern Red Rovers, they've been perfect. I mean, and these 2 teams are trying to catch up to them. But, of course, the Nazareth Blue Eagles is the 4 seed, who we'll see in the second game. They're trying to really continue what's been a magical ride for them this year as well with a 12-win season. So, I mean, at the end of the day, you know, sometimes you're looking at the 4 best teams. Yeah, folks, for those of you watching this and hopefully hang out with us for game number 2, you're seeing the 4 best teams here in the Lehigh Valley here at Al Erdesy Stadium.
Yeah, Max Esteban got first team face-off, and of course, no surprise here, these 2 goalies, first and second team, Andrew Matalevicius, the first teamer for Parkland, and Chris Burke, the second teamer there in that goalie position. Big save by the aforementioned first teamer in Matalevicius. So congratulations to all those guys, first, second team, both extremely impressive for these guys. Yeah, Arezzi wanting it, and he's got it. He's got the hat trick. Colton Arezzi has come out of his shell in this second quarter.
Yeah, he has, and you know, coming from that traditionally coming from the X position, but here this was in transition, able to move nicely off the field, gets a great little spin move, gets a 1 bouncer away from stick side there of Chris Burke, and able to just find the net here and get his team within 1. No quit out of the red and gray here so far.
High scoring second quarter so far. We didn't see a lot, right? 3 goals apiece in the first quarter. Well, that's because they're loading it all in this second frame. And these faceoffs have been primarily won by Max Esteban and Luke Seiler. He was causing some trouble for the first teamer a little bit in the first and early second quarter, but seems he's got a handle on things, passing it off to his midfielder, Rob Gerdes. He is also second teamer for the Trojans. So Central will get a flag, free possession for the Parkland Trojans, and Colton Arezzi takes advantage once again, going back-to-back for the second time in this quarter.
I mean, even though it is now just a tie game, and we still have yet a second half to play, I mean, right now, he's been Parkland's MVP of this first half. I mean, just what he's been able to do alone here in the second quarter, 4 goals, but even in the first quarter where he was able to really help set things up, move things around offensively for the Trojans, he is on fire here.
He is.
And Parkland is going to continue to utilize him. If you're Central, you got to adjust to him now, but I also understand then, what do you do about Parker Cusco? Well, that's part of it. You got to be able to defend. But luckily for Central, they have defenders that can work with these guys. And that ball just snuck on through.
Yeah, Colton Arezzi was mentioned twice. We went back-to-back, and twice it was in less than a minute, by the way.
Which is crazy.
It might be less than 30 seconds, I can't count, but less than a minute he was able to score back-to-back goals twice. So Colton Arezzi has just found his groove. He's got the hot hand. Speaking of hot hands, Mike, you said it was Blake Finnegan. Now it's Arezzi. Here's Parker Cusco with a chance, and he scores. Parkland takes the lead for the first time since the beginning of this game, Mike.
I mean, look, Cusco, as you mentioned, he gave Parkland a 2-1 advantage. Now we hear a whistle. It's on, saying on the official.
Let's take another look.
I mean,
hard shot ricocheted.
I mean, Burke did a nice job in the save, but Cusco just able to get the ground ball. I mean, you had 2 Central Catholic defenders, but for Cusco, able to do a great job just picking up the ground ball and executing on that shot to give his squad a lead here. That's now, of the last 8 goals, 6 of them have come by the Parkland Trojans.
This is their quarter. I mean, we'll see if Central Catholic can respond. They did with 2 straight after Parkland went through, but these face-off wins are everything right now. Esteban gets tangled up a little bit. A little flag happy in this one.
I'm not surprised. You figured it was going to be some physicality.
Oh, yeah, you got to control this game. So there's a flag over here. There's a flag over there. We've got one at the midfield, one on the defensive side for Central. Now, Mike Restino is walking back.
Restino is in, looks like number 10, Tate Shoemaker, Gwen. I'm not sure if one or both of them going to take a knee. I mean,
is that a push from behind?
Yeah, I think you are correct. It is a push. And here we are again, down by 2, with 2 players down now. Parkland with an opportunity to go ahead by 2. And it's been frustrating for Coach O and the Vikings this is twice now. They have been on the receiving end of a situation where they're down 2.
Yeah, and this is another time where Michael Rustino was one of those 2 that were sitting in the box. So Parkland needing a chance to take this opportunity. Last time it was Finnegan who had the first shot, and he eventually would capitalize on the man-up opportunity. They shoot low, and this one sneaks right on through. John Garancher. He had the first goal of this game, and here he scores his second.
Yeah, I mean, for Garancher, it's been one of the more, I mean, of course, one of the 3 attack. It's part of his job to score, right? Able to do so in the first quarter, getting things going here today, and finally finding himself to be resurfaced here late in quarter number 2, his 39th of the year. And Parkland, we've seen actually both teams being able to really just execute not traditional style shots, but able to go low, go side. You have to, with what both of these goaltenders can do.
Yeah, these faceoffs are killing Central Catholic right now. They need to figure that out in the second half, or else this is going to get ugly for the Parkland Trojans, who have scored 4 straight goals now against the Vikings. They're just creating opportunities for themselves, whether that be drawing penalties or working quick off the faceoff X. It's been a huge difference for this Parkland team so far in this game. So they'll settle in a little bit.
But let me remind for any Central Catholic Viking fans watching that don't fret. Being down by 2, and with the way this game is going, the Vikings will find their way back.
Arezzi going right in front, shooting and scoring once again. This kid has owned this entire second quarter. That's his 5th goal of the frame.
Watch him coming from the X, doing a great job cradling it, and able to keep it away from the defender. Watching it, he's got a long stick with him the entire way, able to get atop of the crease, go top shelf on Burke. That is excellent style of lacrosse play right there. Well done for Colton Arezzi.
Has great lacrosse IQ. Makes sense because his father, former coach for Parkland, Vincent Arezzi. So you know that he's been around the game for his whole life. So he's got a great head on him for this great game of lacrosse. This is the largest lead that Parkland has had in this game. This is the first lead that they've had since going 1-up to start the first quarter.
So Parkland calling a timeout here, and want to give credit to Christian Magliore being able to do a great job of getting possession here for the Trojans, because Coach Andrews wanted to call a timeout and keep this momentum going for his offense. I mean, Gwen, it has been, in my opinion, a total tie since Central Catholic took that 6-3 lead with 9:36 to go in the second quarter here. It's been all Parkland. I know Central mixed 2 goals in there, but it's been all Parkland.
It really has. They've just taken control of this quarter, and I can't say enough about Max Esteban at the faceoff X. That is the reason that they've taken control. All of these goals, or at least 99% of them, have been off of a faceoff win, not even a minute past it, especially Colton Arezzi working so quickly off the dot that he's able to catch this Vikings defense by surprise. They don't even have time to settle in before that they are already on the defensive. So Parkland has just found an answer for the Vikings, and now it's their turn to respond. You know, the Trojans had to match their energy to start this game, and now it's gone the other way, which is what we kind of expected between these 2 teams. I mean, I was, beginning of the season, really, when you start to see how things are shaking out, I was just really hoping that this would be a playoff matchup for these 2, because obviously we're not going to get this matchup ever again this year, because they go back in their separate ways into the District 11 2A and 3A classification. So this is our one chance to kind of see these 2 in a playoff atmosphere. And, you know, this is the kind of lacrosse games we want to see, these tight-knit games that mean a lot for both of these teams. They're so well matched.
Yeah, I mean, and selfishly, too, for lacrosse fans to get this, I mean, some, I'm sure for both programs, wish this was the championship and not the semifinal, but still getting it here in the semifinal to kind of set the tone here for the postseason in boys lacrosse. I mean, Gwen, let's be honest, you're not going to get much better than this to setting the tone for boys lacrosse here in the Lehigh Valley than these 2 teams. And that's not discrediting anybody, but because these 2 teams are so evenly matched. And as we have talked about how close their matchups have been over the last 5 to 6 matchups, I mean, it's great we're getting that chance to see them here in the postseason.
Both of these teams lost in the semifinals a year ago. For Parkland, it was a couple goal loss to Easton. And for Central, it was a couple goal loss to Emmaus. Emmaus had a down year this year, so they did not make the tournament. Just barely didn't make the tournament. So Nazareth gets the nod in the 4-team field here in the EPC playoffs. But these two teams have been in it plenty. Trojans have won 4 of the last 5 of their games into the playoffs, so they've got a hot hand. We mentioned Central suffering their first loss in 14 games just this past Monday, so both teams hungry for a win and a championship berth. Well, that'll do it for the first half of play. Parkland, what a quarter from the Trojans. They jump out in front 11-8. The star of the show, Colton Arezzi. We'll talk about him and so much more here when we come back on SEN. We welcome you back here to Al Urdices Stadium, the site of an EPC semifinal boys lacrosse doubleheader. Easton and Nazareth squaring off in just a little bit, but first we have got a great one between the 2-3 seeds in the Parkland Trojans and the Allentown Central Catholic Vikings. Parkland up 11-8, but that is not how this game started. Central was up 6-3 early in the second quarter. And then it was a freshman that took over for the Parkland Trojans. Colton Arezzi came onto the scene, and man, Mike Ventola and Gwen Begley with you. Mike, how about Colton Arezzi?
I mean, he has been the player of the game here for the Trojans, especially in the quarter number 2. I mean, you're able to see him score just outside the crease. And how about this? He gets this pass, able to go top shelf. And prior to that pass, he's called for it. He said, guys, I'm open, I'm open. Goes top shelf, getting momentum there. And that point, we're looking at a 6-6 game here, and then looking able to spin, go with the bouncer away from the stick side of Chris Burke. And once again, remember, he had 5 goals here in in quarter number 2. Here's Arezzi again coming from the X position, cradling it beautifully with a long stick on the defense and able to go top shelf for another goal for his count here in the second quarter alone. Really impressive stuff as he has led the way here for the Trojans in half number 1.
The freshman now with 40 goals on the season, scoring 5, and his back-to-back were scored within a minute, by the way, doing that twice in that second quarter. Well, this could have been a lot worse if it wasn't for a certain man in between the pipes for the Allentown Central Catholic Vikings. When we come back, we'll break down Chris Burke's efforts for the Vikings. We welcome you back to this EPC semi-final thriller between Parkland and Allentown Central Catholic. Trojans up 11-8. We talked about how we got here. Colton Arezzi with 5 goals for the Trojans in the second quarter alone, going back-to-back twice. They jumped out in front, took their first lead since scoring the first goal of the game in the first quarter. And now they're up 11-8, but this could be a lot worse if it wasn't for EPC's second teamer, Chris Burke, in between the pipes for the Vikings. Mike, this guy made a lot of saves in the beginning of this game. His defense hasn't helped him much as of late, but 9 stops for the senior. Yeah,
and these 9 saves have been crucial, and especially the way Parkland's been firing from all different angles, trying to go top shelf, trying to go foot, would be stick side, non-stick side. He's done a really good job of just trying to win matchups where he can. He's been really kind of left on an island in certain moments, and he's done an excellent job of being able to really kind of limit the damage. I know Colton Arezzi, we just talked about how great he was But at some point as a goalie, if you're not getting as much help on the from the defense in front of you, no matter how good you can be, at some point you're going to make a mistake. And obviously that's where things have happened, where Parkland is in the midst of a 5-0 run going into halftime.
Here's the difference right there at the middle of your screen, face-offs. 14-7 in favor of the Parkland Trojans, more specifically Max Esteban. That has been the killer for Allentown Central Catholic. You see, everything else is extremely even except for penalties. They need to clean it up in the second half if they want to stop Parkland from going on another run, because they scored a couple of those goals off of man-up opportunities. So that's going to be an issue for the Vikings headed into this second one. But 14-7 for the face-offs. They'll need to figure out the better matchup there. But going back to Chris Burke for a minute, he has 137 saves so far this year, and he has been splitting time with a younger goalie, a sophomore, in Keegan Lamont. So they would go half and half in the games all year long, trying to make them both kind of earn and work for that position, that coveted position. So Lamont has had 93 saves. Last week they told us, "Are you going to do the switcheroo in this game?" And they're like, we'll see how Chris Burke does. We'll have him start and we'll see how he does." And they kept him in between the pipes there, making 16 saves, and he'll come back out here for this second half. Let's take a quick look at the bracket, the 4-team bracket. So not a lot to show you here, but Easton got that #1 seed, first undefeated regular season in school history for those Red Rovers. They'll be taking on Nazareth for also the second time in just a week. They beat them pretty handily last week. We'll talk about that in just a little bit for the nightcap. But right now you see Parkland and Central right there at the bottom of your screen. Last year it was the same 3 teams, just add an Emmaus and take out Nazareth. So this year Nazareth comes onto the scene. You see the top of your screen. They're starting to filter in for their game, which is set to begin around 7:30. But first, we got to iron this one out. Gwen Begley and Mike Ventola with you. This has been such a good game so far, Mike. And Central, this is a big deal. You win the face-off. Here's your opportunity. They need to take advantage.
No, couldn't agree more. I mean, every face-off they win, they're going to have to score. I mean, and I know that's hard to do, but, I mean, they're going to have to at least then have good offensive possessions where they don't score, where you may get a couple passes and
silly turnovers.
And that's where they have to watch now, too, the turnovers. I mean, the penalties were a big issue. They lose in the face-offs, but they can't turn over the ball. That's one thing and they know this, too. They told you after their regular season matchup, even in victory, they said to you, "Gwen, we got to clean it up." And this is where you can't, here in the start of the second half when you're down by 3, can't turn the ball over.
Yeah, I asked Jack, I mean, what would you do differently headed into the matchup next week? He's like, well, for starters, turnovers. I mean, we just can't give them the ball. That's how they're scoring all their goals. And they're falling into that same hole as we speak, with a turnover right at the start of this third quarter. So not what this Vikings team wanted to see coming out of the second half. But again, they're only down by a few goals, folks. This is an easy comeback, as we saw Parkland was able to accomplish it. They were down 6-3 and now they're up 11-8. So they are taking their time offensively here to start the third. We'll get the first shot and the first goal of the quarter. I believe that was Parker Cusco, the senior, getting on the board once again. That's his third goal of this game.
I mean, Cusco, as we take a look at the replay, and I'll tell you, I mean, I don't think Burke saw it. I think Burke really didn't have a tough time seeing that shot come in. You know, it was a little cloudy to start the game. You know, it's great seeing the sun here once again, but I'm not sure if Burke kind of even saw that ball come in, but give Cusco the credit, as he was able to get another goal here in the contest.
Yeah, we love the sun. We love it so much. Please don't go away. But it does make things a little bit more difficult for these goalies. A lot of times they're staring directly into the sun. So Esteban won that face-off pretty cleanly, but however loses it, and it is now a GB opportunity that Central Catholic comes away with it, and that was Luke Seiler rectifying his face-off loss by getting the possession. Quick passes. They got to be clean passes, though. That is how they turned over the ball, right at the top of the crease on their first possession of this third quarter. Shoemaker, he's going to go right up front, and Andrew Matalevicius was all over it.
For Shoemaker, love the approach in a sense of, okay, you're able to get in front. I'm surprised he didn't, he shot up top. I would have faked up top, try to come in quick low, or even vice versa. But once again, Medalevicius makes another big save.
Quick in transition. Settle in a little bit. By the way, Medalevicius, after the loss last week, he still had to carry out his promposal.
Oh, wow.
He rented a U-Haul truck, and on the side of this giant U-Haul truck, it was a promposal. Will you go to prom with me? That's a thing now. You ask like in a huge way, like you're proposing for marriage. Miscommunication here for Parkland, sends it to Central. Tate Shoemaker was there. However, we got a couple whistles. I wonder if he'll stay with the Trojans here.
Did she
And
say
it
yeah.
will.
Did
I would
His Day say
assume
yes?
that she said yes. I mean, how do you say no when somebody rents a U-Haul truck? Even after a loss, he's out there saying, hey, will you go to prom with me? You can't say no.
No, you can't. I mean,
Apparently, it's a thing that a lot of the guys were doing last week. But hope they had fun. I know, shout out to one of my volleyball girls, Ava Brenner-Bend, getting prom queen.
well, that's awesome. Yeah, it's great.
Parkland girls volleyball, shout out there. Trojans looking to maintain their lead, up 12-8 here in the third quarter of this EPC semifinal. Gwen Begley, Mike Ventola with you. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're glad you did, because you got a good one here to start off these semifinals. Of course, we got the girls on tomorrow. Quick shot and stop by Chris Burke. That one had to feel good for the senior keeper.
So you're back here tomorrow. You might as well camp out.
I am back here. You know, this time of year, I might as well just live at Northampton, because we got... Wow, Michael Ristino getting one back from the Trojans quickly in transition. Michael Ristino strikes the senior, getting on the board for the first time tonight.
Central Catholic needed this goal just to, if anything, slow Parkland down, and you go to an old reliable, and that's in Michael Ristino, a senior midfielder who was able to just let off a really good-looking shot. And sometimes just getting one goal, kind of seeing the ball go into the net, that could certainly maybe wake things up a little bit, but still the face-off, Gwen, continuing to be a challenge here as Parkland wins another.
Yeah, I mean, you have to fight for possession. You have to fight for a turnover after every single restart. So it's a tough position to be in for the Vikings. That's exhausting to try and cause a turnover instead of just get possession right away. So they got to figure something out there at the face-off X. We know last game, Max dominated for quite some time until the Vikings were able to scrounge up a few late in the game to come out on top by one. Garancher with it towards the left side of your screen. No rush for Parkland.
No, and I don't think they need to rush. Kind of now you start to think a little bit. It's still very early. I mean, still only 3-goal difference, but you try to maybe limit possessions where you can for Central, and that ball just bounced and went haywire on that shot attempt.
Yeah, hard shot. It's an unlucky bounce, but Trojans got a guy back, so they will take possession once again. Resi hanging out at X. They go across. There's Parker Cusco. He has a hat trick so far in this game. Finnegan passes back to X, and Resi will look to round the crease. He fires right in front, feeding his teammate in Danny Tapia, the junior, with his 6th.
Danny Tapia, I mean, we were able to see a little bit about him in the opening quarter, in the shot. But obviously, Danny Tapia, we've talked about him so much throughout the year. I mean, obviously, so much excitement here. He's going to be playing in the World Lacrosse Championships in South Korea this summer with the U20, with Puerto Rico U20, one of 21 lax players from the nation. Gwen, I know you've been keeping an eye on it as well, and obviously he representing Parkland and representing Puerto Rico is going to be really cool for the young man.
Yeah, oddly enough, I now know quite a few people who have played for Team Puerto Rico in the World Championships. My good friend Desi Gonzalez, former head coach at Southern Lehigh and Emmaus Boys Lacrosse. He also worked with Tapia in the good old days in the Skyhawks, I believe. They told me that it was one of the club teams from back in the day. So representing the Puerto Rican community in Allentown is Danny Tapia. So we wish him the best of luck in South Korea this summer, and I'm sure the Trojans happy to have him on board for another year as well. He is just a junior. So Trojans turn it over, and Central Catholic will get a great opportunity here. We've got Michael Restino with it, making his way into the attacking box. He passes it off. Wanted a shovel shot, not there. Matalevicius is really standing on his head in this game so far. Great save on James McCarthy's shot. McCarthy wanting to disrupt that there. Is unable to get a piece of it.
Yeah, I think McCarthy wanted a whistle.
He did. Quick catch, quick shoot, Parker Cusco. This is getting tough for Central Catholic. You can just feel the momentum harbored in the Trojans right now.
You know, and I understand the frustration of McCarthy in wanting a call, but see here from the opening, gets a good pass. Cusco able to cut right across, catches and shoots, and now for Coach O, calling a timeout here for his Central Catholic, and he needed it. I mean, and one thing which is good for the Vikings here is that they have the talent, they have the wherewithal to get back in this game. I mean, it's only it's a 5-goal difference. It's a lot. It's the largest we're seeing here in a sense. And for the Vikings now, this is going to be gut check time. Coach O, when you usually see the coaches like on me, not that you're going to get the big old speech here, but this is where you're getting a coach would normally say, look, men, it's up to you. You know, it's up to you. How do you want to go about finishing this game? How do you want to go about trying to find a way to win this game? You may be tired, you may be frustrated, but let's go out there and play we get to the level of play, what's gotten us to that point. We've talked about how they've have had some sickness with Luke Walter being out due to an illness, you know, and obviously they're working around that, but ultimately there's a lot of talent that's still dressed in uniform that could be playing a little bit better.
Yeah, they definitely could be playing better. We'll see what adjustments they make out of this timeout. And in that last situation when McCarthy's, you know, wanting a call or wanting some kind of turnover or something, you can't let that affect the way that you're going to run the defense. I feel like they just were a little bit distracted on maybe not getting what they wanted in that situation, and it allowed Parker Cusco to have just a wide open opportunity in front of Chris Burke. And of course he, of all people, is going to take advantage of that. So see a quick discussion here with Coach Andrews and an official. Parkland ahead.
You know, when
14-9, however, it says 13 on the scoreboard.
they've taken the goal away.
I guess so.
All right, then.
Well, perhaps that's what that discussion was. We cannot hear from up here. And a quick response by Jack Restino. There he is. They've done a good job at keeping him at bay so far, but Jack Restino finally breaks through.
Viking goal number 1, Jack Restino.
Yeah, so they took away that Parkland's goal, and I wonder if it had something to do with what James McCarthy was upset about on the sideline. But what a response by the Vikings. Jack Restino, he missed Monday's game, was feeling a little ill. Perhaps something's going around the team, but Restino able to get one back.
Matalevicius now coming out, man. He is getting some space. Look at him go.
Oh boy.
Could he take a shot? He will. Burke with the save.
Goalie on goalie.
Goalie on goalie, but now Central's got a chance to take advantage and a big break.
Now who was that? I think that was Garancher. Great job by him on being aware of what was happening. They had to build a little bit of a wall there so there was no empty netter.
That would have been
crazy.
It would have been one of the craziest things I've seen in high
But
school lacrosse.
That might be the farthest I've seen Andrew come out of his cage. Quick turn and shoot, that one a little bit high, and we'll give credit to the defense on that one. Jose Santiago, the second teamer for Central, forcing that one to go off target. Garancher with it now near side. Finnegan and Tapia there at the top.
Good defense there. Nate Young able to push Parkland out.
Garancher working around the defense. Burke able to get the stop, but Cusco quickly picks up the GB, and they're back at it. He'll turn and shoot in front, and he gets it to go. Wow, Parker Cusco with the drive-by.
Well, they took that goal away from him, so I'm thinking he's thinking.
He's getting one back.
Yeah, and it's like, I want this one back, and he was able to do so.
Number 8.
Coming from literally the X position, able to come right around and goes up top. I mean, even with the strike there by Carter Young trying to disrupt him, but Cusco was not going to slow down by any means.
Fourth goal of the game for Parker Cusco. Esteban with another clean face-off win. Down by 4 is the Vikings. We've got just under 3 left to go in this third quarter. Bouncing ball. Colton Arezzi couldn't see where it was going. Now they'll tightly try and stop Central from getting away with this. Rustino there. Good heads-up play to be able to bop that one over to McCarthy. Wide open. It's Farrell. He was... Wow. Thought he might have gone in the crease, though, but Liam Farrell getting his third of the game.
Great execution all around here for Central Catholic. I mean, starts here. You see McCarthy going right to Farrell. I mean, just dumping the ball in, and wow, he tippy-toed. He's
got real close. I think that's what Parkland was trying to say, is, oh, that was a little bit close to the crease, but I think he literally was maybe 2 little turf nuggets away from stepping on that crease. But what a big goal from Farrell. What a work on the sideline, too, using his body. The free possession goes to James McCarthy, and the Vikings are so back, Mike.
Oh, they certainly are, and able to find that missing piece, able to find their mojo here, and now have made it into a 2-goal game. I mean, you see Farrell going right to McCarthy, and McCarthy is not going to be denied. Just inside the 20, above the 15, and drops it right in.
Those quick in transition goals seem to be working. And let's talk about Farrell for a minute there, getting that first one and then using his physicality, his body along the near sideline to be able to draw that penalty, quickly get it off, and find James McCarthy wide open and waiting.
Yeah, it's good to see for Central Catholic here, because you know, it was getting a little weary there when it was 13-9 after Parkland was able to score. And when it was Danny Tapia, we're thinking, okay, could this be trouble here? But for the Vikings, able to kind of regroup. Coach O calling a timeout, getting them regrouped, getting a chance to kind of find their footing here once again, and back within 2 goals here. And I think for them, they have to take advantage here, especially with the penalty that's going to go against the Trojans.
Yeah, this is huge.
Off the goal, so you don't have to worry about the face-off, which you've struggled at the face-off here today. The Fogo has not gone well. But you're going to start with Jack Rustino. How fitting. And we'll see Rustino and the Vikings try to get within 1.
Yeah, so they capitalize on a free possession. Now they get their opportunity on the man up. Huge, huge opportunity for these Vikings. Not a must score, but sure wouldn't hurt. They're only down by a couple. Again, they were down by 5. That was the biggest deficit that either team had faced so far in this game. Quickly erased. Restino shoots, he scores! Jack Restino, his second of tonight's semifinal.
You know, it's as much as we've talked about him, Gwen, for you just to say second goal, I mean, I'm like, okay, I thought we'd see a little bit more, but sometimes...
Hey, Drew Schaefer.
Exactly, Drew Schaefer. I mean, that's the thing. It's just...
It's all about matchups.
And the matchups have served well, but able to really just... That was between Schaefer and Magliore.
And that was a D1 shot.
That was.
Right there. That's a Division I
not much
men's lacrosse shot.
Not much either of those two could have done. That's where you kind of... You go to Restino and say, hey, good-looking shot there, man. Like, there's not much you could do on that.
This is a guy who was not feeling his greatest earlier this week, but he's toughing it out for this one. He missed Monday's game, a loss against Hempfield. They had a ton of guys out just with multiple illnesses or whatever else, and just wasn't their day. So they were excited for the opportunity to get back into league action tonight. So that was a great opportunity, Mike.
Yeah,
off the face-off?
No, couldn't agree more. And if I'm Central here, I mean, if you have a lane, take it. But I also would not be totally against milking a little clock here.
Yes.
But you get an opening.
Oh, my gosh. Jack Restino, second straight. He gets the hat trick, Mike.
And ties the game, which is most important here for Central Catholic. You set it down by as many as 5. And I think they wanted to be a little patient. But there's another Division I type shot. I mean, you got 2 defenders poking and prodding at him, and he is able to still get that shot off. Just impressive. I mean, just impressive lacrosse play here for Restino, who being heavily guarded by Drew Schaefer. Drew doing a great job, but now it's in these late moments. It's when the game starts getting ready to shift towards the 4th quarter. It's when your stars start to rise, and Jack Restino rising.
Shoemaker coming away with it off the face-off. That was originally won by Esteban, but this is how you do it. You got to win that midfield GB battle after the face-off if you can. And Central has been able to do that the last couple times, and it's giving them an opportunity. They scored 2 goals off it. Now, Mike, this is where we'll probably see some of that stall ball situation. Make sure they get the last shot of this quarter.
Yeah, you have to. I mean, because one thing we have seen is Parkland's been able to score, and now we get a timeout on the field. Coach O didn't like what he was seeing, so he's going to get his team off. Let's draw up a play. And I mean, already going to the board here. I mean, this is a guy who's been affiliated with the game, you know, long before you and I graced the earth. I mean, he's just been, you know, he has been doing this for a long time, you know. But I'm going to great job by our team getting right over to Corey Andrews. I think both coaches today have had their teams prepared. I think both teams have been very well prepared. Now, I know you look at the 14 goals each, you sit there and say, well, the goalie's having a bad day. No. I think defenses have moments, have had some minor breakdowns. You got to give credit to the offenses, but this is where you're at. If you're a fan, but also, too, for both of these teams, you're within striking distance. You have a chance, as we're going to see one guy in particular in Parker Cusco, who's led this comeback here for the Trojans, Gwen. I mean, look at this, able to get through a couple defenders, gets the shot off here on this play. And how about this, after fielding up a ground ball, catches Burke off guard, gets the shot off, and then to make another goal here in this 3rd quarter. I'm not sure if Burke fully saw that, but able to find the back of the goal. And coming from the X position here, going near top shelf, and that's what you've been able to see out of Parker Cusco in this Parkland offense here throughout the afternoon. But 14-14, selfishly, we're in good shape here for what's been a fun contest. It's been for a real fun contest.
Yeah, Cusco had a great quarter. He had 3 goals. One was taken away, so that was the one that would have made it 14-9. But then he recovered and got that 14th goal eventually, just moments later. So he's got 2 in the frame, 4 in the contest so far. So Central Catholic with an opportunity here off that timeout. Jack Restino, we'll see if he tries to fire from a distance once again. So he is double teamed and he doesn't care because he's going to take the shot anyways. That one gets a piece of the post. The battle for possession along the near sideline. And it was Garancher, right place, right time for Garancher. A little miscommunication on that as the third quarter comes to a close. Man, when we thought this couldn't get any better, it does. We are tied at 14 apiece. More EPC boys lacrosse coming up right after this. We welcome you back to Al Artisy Stadium for Game 1 of an EPC semifinal doubleheader here in Northampton. Gorgeous, gorgeous night for lacrosse, and we have been blessed, treated with an absolute classic here between the Parkland Trojans and the Allentown Central Catholic Vikings. These two played just 8 days ago, and it was the Vikings coming out on top by just a goal, 14-13. Mike, we talked about, is it going to happen again? Is it going to be another shootout? And, well, spoiler alert, it was, and it still continues to be. As we enter the final quarter, 14-14, we're basically starting all over here to figure it out in these final 12 minutes, who is going to be in the EPC championship.
I think back to the opening of the broadcast, you asked me, is this going to be another shootout? I'm not normally good at playing Nostradamus, but I said I think it is, and here we are. But it's a credit to everybody. I mean, both teams, we're seeing a lot of good. You're seeing really good designs offensively. You're seeing teams that when mistakes are being made, the other team's able to take advantage of those mistakes. You're seeing great moments by goalies. You're seeing some tough moments for the goalies. Really getting a little bit of everything. But one thing that has really stood out, and once again, our crew does a great job at everything, and this is one, the face-off.
Yeah, they got great shots of this face-off.
But with Max Esteban and Parkland, they have been able to win.
Runs away with it.
But this time, Central Catholic coming up with it, but they're starting to get a little bit better here off the face-off. But for a while, it had been all Parkland at the face-off.
Yeah, and that's just, you just need help. You need help at your midfield. It can't just be, 1v1. You need to use the guys around you. And in that case, Jack Restino swooped in and carried that one away to get the possession. Michael Restino now wanting the shot. No slide. That one goes wide.
Where teams, I don't think, I don't think we're going to see anybody tense up here. These are two teams that are very familiar with one another, just going to trust their game plans.
Thought better of it. That was Carretzos. He has had back-to-back goals in the second quarter. The freshman has had a fantastic game for the Vikings so far, and a lot tighter defense from the Trojans here, especially behind the cage. McCarthy able to pick up the GB. But they were going with 2 at X, so Farrell will come back out. McCarthy gets his stick knocked out, but he gets control of it again. However, it will go to the Trojans.
And that's
tough break for McCarthy.
Yeah, that's a tough break for one of the captains of Central Catholic. I mean, look, he's had the stick, and the ball pops out, and it kicks away.
And he's called with the hold on it.
That's the thing. Yep.
That's the problem.
Yep.
It wasn't even his fault, but unfortunately, this is how the game goes. So Parkland now getting handed another opportunity.
Oh no, tripping on the turf there, but able to stay with it.
Really impressed with Tate Shoemaker in this game so far. He's just been making such a big difference at the midfield, just like right there. Denied by Matlevicius. Wow. What a stop right in front. He has been so good with those close range shots in this game so far. Arezzi calling for it, doesn't get it. Instead, it's Finnegan, 1v1, and he gets this one through. Blake Finnegan putting his team back out in front.
Yeah, you'll see Finnegan gets the pass in the center, and he's wide open. It's just him and Burke. I mean, it was Garancher able to do a great job of seeing Finnegan just come right on through, and with a nice catch and shoot, gets, I don't want to call it so much an easy goal, but gets the, gets the opportunistic goal.
That's his second of the game so far. Face-off win for Esteban. Passes it off to Arezi. We know how quick he can make work of this, but Burke denies him this time.
Good defense there by Nate Young. Was able to come right in and disrupt the shot attempt there for Arezi.
Called time because Arezi got a little bit banged up on that play, so he's taking a minute to get back up.
Well, kind of the price of being a freshman here amongst a lot of upperclassmen. And
oh yeah,
he got bamboozled
leveled
there by Nate Young. But also, too, let me give credit to Jose Santiago, who really was the initial contact on the shot attempt. But yeah, by Nate Young really to come in and
yeah, it was a clean defensive play, but unfortunately,
this is what happens in lacrosse sometimes.
This is what happens. So Arezi will get tended to along the sideline. We do want to give a shout out to Bailey Wetmore, by the way. I know on last week's broadcast, we saw him get hurt and we were hoping for the best. Unfortunately, it did not turn out to be the best. He broke something in his arm. I'm not sure which bone it was, but his father actually posted a picture of it, and there he is with his sling. He did get a goal from that game, so at least he got a goal before breaking his arm, but we wish him a very speedy recovery. There's Bailey Wetmore.
Yeah, it's
great
tough.
player for the Trojans.
And as a sophomore, what's great for him is
he'll be back next year.
He'll be back next year, but also, too, kudos to him. You could see even like you and I, we were talking to his dad a little bit before the game, but looking out on the field, he's out there with his teammates, talking with his teammates, being supportive, and that's all you can ask for from your teammates. And it was great to see Bailey just out here today and hanging on with his group of guys.
Restino! From a mile away, we saw it coming. He was ready and waiting, and he took advantage. Michael Restino, what a goal from the senior.
And able to tie it up here.
Goal number 22.
That was set up beautifully here for Central Catholic. And I mean, look at it here from the X. Ball gets knocked up into the air, but how about that catch? And is that a little reverse stick there? Let's see that again. The ball pops
reverse?
up. Nah, just kind of an orthodox.
I don't even know what angle to call that.
It almost was like, almost like kind of under the hoop, you're just kind of going like,
right?
You're just trying to dump it in, but great shot there.
Yeah, that was
goal.
a basketball shot.
It was.
Wow. Sorry to interrupt you, Mike, but got a little excited off that one. Restino,
I'm glad you did.
What an effort to tie this one up once again.
I'm glad you did. I mean, when you get goals like that, when you get plays like that, can't expect anything different here.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just been really so good off the post, and
So
there was a
call
push.
that. Yep.
Push.
And I thought that was a late call. I thought they were going to let him play off of that one, but they will send him packing. I believe that was Christian Magliore. Although
Yes, that is Magliore.
should probably bring my glasses to some of these contests. See these numbers. At least, hey, we shout out to be with these teams not wearing their really difficult jerseys to see like we saw last week. Parkland's home jerseys and Central's away jerseys are not easy to see from a broadcast booth, so we appreciate the white and the red.
Yes.
Going back, though, to Wetmore real quick, I mean, that's a huge opportunity for you to become a student of the game, for you to learn, to see the coaching side of things, to learn a different perspective and learn how to be a good teammate. So that's what he's doing so far, and that's what his plan is for hopefully, what they hope is a long run in the EPC and District 11 playoffs. So a turnover here gives Parkland an opportunity. They are down a man.
I think a timeout's going to be taken here by Coach Andrews. Especially now, like as you said, with them, with Magliore on the sideline, of course, having to serve the penalty. And I think being down by a man, this will give Coach Andrews a chance to, once again, talk things over with his offense, maybe set something up. And, I'm sure for both Coach Andrews and Coach O, I mean, a lot of things to be proud of, but also thinking, oh man, we've had moments we've had to lead and they've gone bye-bye, and this is a tough pill to swallow. But when you get whether it's here in lacrosse, other sports, when you just have two teams that are evenly matched, this is what you're going to get. I mean, unless someone has a quote-unquote bad day at the office, but we haven't really seen anyone have a quote-unquote bad day at the office here, which has been nice to see. And, you know, for the Eastern Red Rovers and the Nazareth Blue Eagles, who are actually here at the stadium now, they're playing in Game 2. They're getting a chance to watch, and what's good for them is scout. And you just said it, because they know if they win, they're going to play the winner of this matchup. So it's certainly good. And for the Blue Eagles, real quick, you and I were saying for them to get the 4 seed and to really turn in what's been a great year, 12-6. Of
There's
course,
Scott watching his former team, Central Catholic. Scott Sigmund, he took over for Nazareth a few years ago.
And there's Brad Bachman. You see kind of the lower right corner there with the hat and sunglasses. He and his Eastern Red Rovers turning in his finest season that he's ever coached.
Yeah, he's also the longest tenured coach in boys lacrosse in this area. So he's got that going for him. And he's a very good team. They're the #1 seed coming into this tournament.
Still reminds me that every school has colors, and that there is one color in particular, that's the red and white.
Yeah.
So.
We were saying he's going to be mad neither of us wearing red. We got to be unbiased here, Brad.
Have to be. You know what's funny? When I used to work for the Iron Pigs, Kurt Landis, his son Colby, I used to have to, when I've done a few lacrosse games, when Colby was in goal, or Blue Eagles.
Great goalie for the Blue Eagles.
He used to tell me, he goes, "You got some blue mixed in there in that uniform." And then when his daughter Caddison played for Coach Marissa Rotz at field hockey, same thing. He said, "Mike, remember who you worked for?" I said, "Yes, sir, Mr. Landis. Yes, sir. Yes, sir, Mr. Landis. Yes."
Now it's Brad saying, "Remember who you pay taxes for? Remember where you graduated?" Oh gosh. Well, we'll talk a little bit more about that in the next game. But Parkland and Central, I mean, 15-15. We couldn't have asked for a better game here. Central trying to win their first EPC title, get back to the championship game since 2021. That was also the year they won the only state championship out of District 11. For Parkland, however, they've won 5 EPC titles, their last one coming in 2019, and that was in a victory over Allentown Central Catholic in that EPC title game. So they are not strangers. Mike Restino having himself a quarter. That is back-to-back for the senior, taking back the lead for his Vikings.
Viking goal number 22.
I'm not gonna lie, I think this goal might be a little bit more impressive than the last one. I mean, watch him coming in.
That right there,
zip it in
slicing.
and out. Slicing, dicing, and then look at this. Keeps the ball within the stick, gets the shot off quickly, and he is absolutely fired up. And even his teammates giving him a pat on the helmet as well. And here we are, the Vikings now back in the lead.
Might want to mention, too, Michael Restino has been playing with an injury. I won't blow up his spot just yet, but he has been playing hurt for this entire season. So even more impressive that he's able to do what he does. Tate Shoemaker, again, making such a big difference on the ground ball battle. Man, he has been really, really impressive to me tonight.
I was about to say, I think
Driscoll unable to get that one full force. He loses it out of his stick a little bit.
That's the one thing, too, especially in this game, you just look at all the goal scores, but there have been guys that have been good supporting cast members, and Tate Shoemaker has led the bunch there for Central Catholic. If Central Catholic wins, if Coach O gives game balls, he'll get one.
Oh, wow. We almost saw another showstopper there, Mike. I almost had to once again scream in your ear. James McCarthy was zipping around from X on his way to the ground. I've seen him score a goal or two like that before, but this time it goes wide. They keep possession, though.
Right.
Restino here at the top. He will shoot, and that one goes wide. McCarthy wasn't there in time. So Parkland will get it back from the turnover at the end line.
Yeah, I think that's the second time we've seen McCarthy just fall a foot shy of getting possession back, and we see the running here of Blake Finnegan able to dump it down.
Yeah, good job by Blake Finnegan. It's always fun watching that battle after a shot.
See Colton Arezzi back on the field. I know he got shaken up a little bit ago, and good to see him get on his feet. Right now, Central Catholic doing a good job tightening up defensively. Oh, had the right opening there from Garancher to Finnegan, but unable to execute.
Number 41 there, Jose Santiago, by the way, committed to Mercy University. So another player going to continue his career, and deservedly so. Be able to cause that turnover here and give Central another opportunity. Burke, he's not going to be the one to come out of his cage like Andrew. So he's going to hang there.
Take a look here and see what you saw. Garancher come around, and I mean, Finnegan was set up perfectly. All he had to do was receive it, maybe do a quick turn and shoot and score, and it could be something that if Parkland falls short here at the end, that could be something that could be discussed.
Wow.
There's Brendan Shanner there on the shot attempt.
It's a little back and forth action here. 5 minutes left to go in this game. Central holding on to a very narrow lead here. Wide open, stopped by Matalevicius. He gets down on his knees for that one, but another opportunity, and that goes wide. But they get the call right on top of the crease. Who's this going to be on?
I actually think it's going to be on McCarthy, because unless, let's see, Matalevicius. I just want to watch where he is with his feet. Does he lunge? No, actually, no. It may be on number 66.
Maybe on red.
Yeah, maybe on Colin Winfield.
I didn't really see a penalty there, so let's see what is going to be decided here by the officials.
I mean,
obviously, when there's contact like that, especially right at the top of the crease.
So, yeah, watch Winfield. The only thing I'm thinking, 66, which is Winfield. Yes, that's
yeah,
Colin
so
Winfield.
they'll call the Winfield on that. All right. So I think he's like, whatever. I mean, that's a tough one because there's a lot of contact there. You could argue maybe like a cross-check right in midair, but when you have that much contact, it's going to be called for something. They'll find something for it. So
I was waiting for McCarthy to get his cape and fly like Superman the way he was.
Yeah,
go
seriously.
with that.
He is not afraid to put his body on the line for a goal. Mentioned Central Catholic, owners of the only state title in the area. The team actually went to go visit former state champion Chuck Kaczynski. He's up at Syracuse playing for the Orange. The team went up and visited him this season to go watch him play in a big game, a big win over, at the time, number 5, Notre Dame.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
I know.
Oh, especially Syracuse.
So, I mean, what a guy to learn from. Chuck, I mean, he was one of, if not the best defender to ever come through this area. I don't know if you remember how physical he was on the soccer field and the lacrosse field. Wow, Matalevicius getting some airtime to make that save. Ricochets way up high. Central able to stay in control.
Yeah, Matalevicius right now doing a fantastic
He
job
really
of
is.
keeping Parkland in the game here. And I think Coach O's calling a timeout.
Trying to. A little bit of words shared on the field, but we've got 3:57 left to go. And at this point, if you're Allentown Central Catholic, they're going to try and stall ball as much as they can. Keep this out of Parkland's hands.
Yes.
Any chance that you have, but Andrew Matalevicius has really just stood on his head, especially with these close-range shots. I mean, some of this behind-the-back surprise ones, these second opportunities he's struggled with a little bit, but when he's got the right vision and they're those close-range 1v1, he's got it handled pretty well.
Oh, he certainly does. And, you know, especially when you are in those 1v1 matchups, you got to do everything you can and try to win those, of course. And, you know, sometimes it takes a little creativity, a little bit of physical awareness, and it's been really enjoyable to watch all of that. As you know, now as we look at Coach O here, not sure exactly what he's looking to try to draw up
Put
here.
it in James McCarthy's stick.
But I think at that point you have to. It's been McCarthy. It's been Michael Restino. You know, he has scored the last 2 goals for Allentown Central Catholic. So, and right now if you're Parkland, you're pulling Matalevicius here. If you're pulling him aside and saying you're doing absolutely everything right here, keeping us in this game. And right now Corey Andrews is looking above. I think he's looking for a little divine intervention right now. And I don't think he needs to panic. It's just a 1-goal difference. He just needs his defense and his goalie to just continue to play with how they're doing. Just how do you get it back to your offense? And that's where Parkland's kind of struggling a little bit here right now.
Yeah, whoever gets possession this late in the game,
Yeah.
it'd be smart to hold on to it for as long as you can. Obviously, you want to get a goal out of your possession, so no cause turnovers on the other side, but that's been something Central has struggled with so far in their last couple games against the Trojans.
I mean, the turnover, I mean, you said, I mean, to me, with Central having issues with turnovers, if I'm Parkland, create those turnovers. If Central Catholic is prone to them, which they have been recently, then Parkland's got to figure out a way. All right, how do we? You don't want to be too risky here, because now if you give up another goal or two, then you got to worry about the clock.
Here's Restino, shoots, and he's stopped by Matalevicius, who quickly unloads it. That was Rylan Conrad with some speed along the near sideline.
Just pointed to the sideline here, Jack Restino, but I think Colin Andrews is calling a timeout here for the Parkland Trojans.
Good timeout to take. They have possession. Try and hang on to it for as long as they can. There's under 4 minutes left to play, and they've got a lot of people to worry about on this field. One of them being the senior and Michael Restino, who went back-to-back in this quarter.
Yeah, I mean, for Parkland, it was up 15-14 with a little under 10 minutes remaining here in the fourth quarter, and Restino has really helped lead the charge for Central Catholic to have this one-goal lead. You saw the kind of over the shoulder and then able to zigzag through a couple defenders, get the most recent goal for his squad to put them ahead by one. Restino has been huge here in the second half, not only with those two goals, but the one goal back in the third quarter when he made it 12-9. It was still a Parkland lead at that point. So this is where your upperclassmen are really starting to shine here. It's where you rely on that leadership. And Michael Restino, one of the handful of seniors for Central Catholic, he's been one of the guys that Coach O has been looking to and has been answering the call. So job well done here for the senior.
As we mentioned, Restino banged up all season long, but doesn't show it. No. That's for sure. Tough kid who's planning to get surgery next week, but he wanted to make sure he played in these EPC playoffs first, and I know he wants one more game before he goes under the knife. Parkland with an opportunity here, a huge one, probably biggest one of the game. They're down by one, which, no fear, that's not the worry. But you got to time this right. You got to play the clock well at this point. So see if you can hang on to it for as long as you can. Give Central as little time as possible to be able to get a lead. At this point, this late in the game, I mean, you're obviously trying to play for the win, but you'll take a tie too.
Yeah, if you're the Vikings.
Finnegan shoots, that one goes wide. Central is there.
Now if you're the Vikings, and it's going to be their possession, you have two options here. You can play keep away, or you can essentially hold on, or if there's an opening, take a shot, score a goal. But that's very risky. That's extremely risky, I think.
I mean, going 2 up, that's great, but we see how quickly right now, right?
And there's the turnover.
That was a bad pass into the midfield. Chris Burke quickly has to get back to his cage, and he makes the stop. His biggest save of the game on Parker Cusco. Way to go, Burke. Keep his team right back in it. Makes up for that mistake. Here's Tate Shoemaker.
Yeah, I think now, especially with just 2 minutes to go, you got to hold on to the ball. You got to pass around. You got to make Parkland try to take the ball away from you,
which they're going to try, and they are trying.
You have to if you're Parkland. You can't allow Shoemaker and company here to just move around, run around, and this is...
There's Drew Schaefer. We talked about how good he has been defensively for Parkland, and he causes another turnover. Here's this great save from Burke on Parker Cusco. That one nearly trickling inside, but he's able to get control. Drew Schaefer, I would say that's one of the players of the game defensively for the Trojans. He's been guarding Jack Restino all night, and you can't keep him contained for too long, but he did a pretty good job at keeping him contained. So let me tell you that. He's only had, what, a couple goals?
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. Drew Schaefer, I mean, if Parkland doesn't win this game, it's going to be a tough pill to swallow, but I think Coach Andrews got to pull him aside and say, hey, Drew, you did everything right, and nothing you can do, but wow, here's Burke able to come out and make his own save.
Wow. Now that was a interesting move by the Trojans there, trying to meet the feed, and it didn't work out.
And how about number 15, Liam Farrell?
Liam Farrell. Disappointed as he throws it away. But that was a great battle along that far sideline, again, using his body.
Clock is the Vikings' friend right now.
Very much so. We are down to the final minute. We've got a ball on the ground. Colton Arezzi picks up the GB. We know he's got wheels. We've seen him score plenty in this second half. Trojans looking for the equalizer. 26 seconds left to go. Firing top side. That one gets mangled up by Jack Restino. Push keeps it with the Trojans. They get lucky on that call. Trojans' moment is now. Arezzi battling 1v1, literally number 1 against 1. Restino trying to keep him away. He turns, he fires. Colton Arezzi ties this one up at 16 apiece with 6.6 seconds to go. You knew that was coming. Colton Arezzi just cannot be denied tonight.
He certainly can't. The freshman has been all over the field here throughout this entire game. And sometimes in these moments where you're looking to the likeliest of heroes to be an upperclassman, it is a likely hero here for Parkland from their vantage point as a freshman to get the job done and tie things up here at 16.
Now here is the most important face-off of the game, which Esteban wins, and they could quickly make work of this. 1 second, he loses it, and we are headed to overtime. The second time in a year for these two teams. Last time, Esteban, it only took him 5 seconds to win the face-off and win in overtime. You gotta think he might want to do that again in a playoff scenario.
Unbelievable finish to the fourth quarter here. So many moments where both teams could have certainly scored more. I mean, Central Catholic, they scored to make it 16-15 with still 7:18 to go in the fourth quarter, but then their offense, just a tough time figuring out a way, and Parkland just hanging in there. And it was Colton Arezzi able to get the game-tying score. We'll see how overtime will look to shake out here, but
I love how Bailey Wetmore is the only contingent from the Trojans doing the coin toss here. So they will figure out who's going to be where.
So it looks like Parkland.
So Parkland will defend the left goal.
Mm-hmm. This game has lived
Exactly
up
what we wanted, Mike.
Gwen couldn't agree more. This game has lived up to its billing. I mean, we've talked about it. It has. I mean,
I thought the last one last week was going to go to overtime. I was kind of pushing for that.
And here we are now.
And here we are. I'm getting my Parkland Central overtime fix tonight, and couldn't have asked for a better time to do it in the EPC semifinal when it counts. Big time for these two teams. So let's take a look at how this fourth quarter shook out. This was probably one of the lowest scoring quarters. It was 3-3 in the first, but this one we get just 2 goals apiece. You see this incredible score by Michael Restino right at the doorstep. I don't even know what angle to call that, but then he slices through the defense. I mean, Michael Restino has really been the star, but man, you can't count out Colton Arezzi. I don't know his accuracy tonight, but it's pretty on point.
Yeah, Colton Arezzi, I mean, that is obviously the biggest goal of the game, able to force overtime as we're now starting the overtime period.
Well, in a turn of events, it's Luke Seiler coming away with the face-off win for the Vikings, so they get the first offensive opportunity, and as they should, call a timeout immediately to figure out how you're going to approach this possession. This is huge for the Vikings to get that face-off win off the overtime. They did not want a deja vu of last year when Esteban took it right to the house from that face-off win. That was one of his crowning moments, earned him really the starting position at the dot.
Yeah, no, and for Central Catholic, who had issues with the face-off here in various moments throughout the game, how poetic for them to take care of business and win the face-off here to start the overtime period. But now for Coach O, wanting to make it all happen here. And for Central, looking to try to get this goal here. And it's just, oddly enough, that it comes down to a face-off in a sense of where Central Catholic has struggled, where Parkland's been much better. And now for Coach Andrews, who's, as a head coach, first time experiencing this, he's done a great job here today. I mean, his team has played so well in so many various moments throughout the game, and you can tell the hamster wheel's turning right now. He's thinking.
Oh, they're both stressing. I'm stressing. These close games, getting too old for this. But no, this has been just everything we could have asked for and more in an EPC semifinal. We got to hope the next game is going to be just as big of a battle between Easton and Nazareth. We please ask you to stick around for that. Obviously, that game is not going to start at 7:30 because it is 7:30 right now. So we still got an overtime period left to play. It's 4 minutes, sudden death. So first to score wins the game and punches their ticket into the EPC championship. Jack Restino, that is the guy you want to have the ball right now here in overtime. But Drew Schaefer, man, he's looking to continue his defensive efforts against the junior. Restino, top side, nothing there. He has double teamed, but he's going to keep with it. He's got to watch his stick. Bounces the shot. That one goes high. They stay possession. James McCarthy at X. Michael Restino shoots, denied by Matalevichis, but the ricochet nearly finds its way back with Central. It does. Restino with it, and he scoops and scores! Jack Restino off the GB! Who else but Jack Restino? Wow.
In one of the finest moments for the Vikings throughout this season, shining in the brightest of moments is Jack Restino. Looking at this here, an absolute scrum for the ball. And able to sneak that through. It took a prayer, and it came answered. And for Central Catholic,
he went in between two defenders. Yes. He split through with the shovel shot. What a beauty from junior Jack Restino. Take a bow, kid. He gets 100 career goals last time out against Parkland. Then he gets the game winner to earn his team a bid in the EPC title game, where he will meet either Easton or Nazareth, which is coming up in the nightcap.
The finals are scheduled for next Tuesday.
What a moment for Jack Restino and for Central Catholic overall. Just an unbelievable game and an unbelievable victory as they punched their ticket to the EPC championship. And I know right now for the Parkland Trojans, they have to feel devastated. They have to feel just absolutely heartbroken, but they should not feel ashamed whatsoever. They left it all out there, and what's going to work out well for them is they still have an opportunity for a district championship when the district playoffs start. I believe next week.
A whole nother season left to play for these Trojans. But Central is moving on with a thrilling victory. They get back-to-back victories over the Parkland Trojans here in 2025. 17-16 in overtime. Your final. Jack Restino, the hero for the Vikings. We thank you so much for joining us. Make sure you stick around for the nightcap between top-seeded Easton and fourth-seeded Nazareth coming up right after this. For our entire crew, I'm Gwen Begley, joined by Mike Ventola. Thanks for watching. We'll see you again in just a bit.